Hi influencers, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Nkechi. So in today's video, I just wanted to take you along with me to do my study prep routine. Now, a lot of people have been asking me about studying for their courses, not just your RHIT, RHIA exam, but also your course exam. Now, don't forget, I just graduated not too long ago, a few months back, from my master's program. And with that, I really had so many classes to take. Even in your RHIT, RHIA coding programs, you take courses, and everybody's asking me, how do I go about prepping for an exam? How do you go about prepping for your certification exam? So I wanted to bring you guys along so you can kind of join me on this quick video to see what I do. Now, I always make sure that my office is set up in such a way that I'm able to study and focus and get it all done. I always try to make sure that I have my office smelling great. So that's why I was burning my candles, making sure that I have things staged the way I want to so I'm comfortable. You want to be comfortable in your space. You don't want to have a lot of clutter. You don't want to have your books in places where you have to reach back out for it. So make sure you're gathering all your materials, your pens, notepad, textbook, and putting them in locations that are close and easy to access. I also like to make sure that I have various different resources that I'm going to use to study. Of course, my textbook is one thing that I most definitely love to have. And sometimes I'm using one or two textbooks from my prior courses or recommended courses. And that's extremely important because you want to be able to reference your content, reference key term, and also taking notes as applicable. And then always make sure that you have the correct study guide when you're trying to study. One thing I do is I try to look at resources online. I may have an application that I love to use when studying, such as Word, so I can take great notes if I have to copy and paste things from online that I see. I love to watch some YouTube videos. There are lots of YouTubers out there who are also prepping for the exam. They're also helping people out. And knowledge is power, so I love to support other YouTubers. As always, again, stop what you're doing, as a matter of fact, and go and subscribe to this channel if you are enjoying this content. So I like to use resources such as Quizlet if I have to create quizzes, and other ones. I like to visit websites such as CMS, Joint Commission, AHEMA. There's so many different things you can find online. So I have those usually opened up on my dual monitor, and I'm referencing those, making sure that I have them ready, opening up my links so I'm able to study. So make sure you guys go do that. I'll give y'all a second to get your study materials and go ahead and join me with this. Now, make sure you are also commenting down below. What are you doing? How are you prepping for your exam? Are you using textbook? Are you just using your study materials? Are you using any sort of notepad? Are you taking notes online? Is it something you're doing electronically, or are you just doing it paper based? I love electronic because I can always reference them when I go to places. I can take it with me. I can use my iPad when need be. So go ahead and grab what you need to grab. Let me know down below what you use to study. I'll love to read your comment. Of course, you know others would love to read your comment as well. I'll give you a second to do that. Okay, guys, so if you're able to do this, make sure you're doing this. That is jotting down your notes if you can electronically. And the reason being is that you can always take it with you when you need to study. Remember, we are all working parents, moms, students, and sometimes you have that easy access to be able to go study. So right now, what I try to do is document what I need to online in my notebook. If you can also do something like Google Docs, use that to create things. You can use your Quizlet, create quizzes that you can use so that you can test yourself when you're on the train, when you're on the bus, whatever it is. If you have carpooling you're doing, you can always study that way. So I always like to type out my notes and make sure I have it ready so I can study when need be. So make sure you're doing that. Do you type out your notes or do you take notes on paper? That's something I like to know what you do. And why do you do that? Why do you feel the need to take notes on paper? Do you want to do something that is old school or more recent? I wouldn't say it's really old school, but sometimes people say, well, taking notes is dated. I love to take notes. I like to write because it's going to help with information retention. But I also like to use my electronic resources, gadgets, and I think that really helps me being able to mobilize my study plan. So I always build a plan, make sure that I have my content, my outline ready, referencing what's in my textbook as need be, referencing what's in the study guide to know what domain am I going to be focusing on. That's one thing you want to do. Know your domain that you want to focus in on and jot those down. If you end up typing out what domain you're focusing on, what the content is going to be about, that keeps you on track. Develop a timeline as need be. You want to always keep a timeline so that way you know this is what I'm doing in week 1. This is what I'm doing bi-weekly. This is what I'm going to do monthly. And when I develop that timeline, it truly helps me gauge so that I can meet my exam deadlines. It's always been something that I've encouraged people to do, mentor them to do, and I love to follow those timelines because then you're not all over the place. So I usually will use my Excel if I need to, the application, and create a timeline, create some sort of outline, list out my content, my topic, so I know what I'm focusing on. Another thing I like to do is take out those definitions that I find to be very difficult to understand and really put them in Quizlet and try to test myself. I also love to do my calculations, look at various different samples on Quizlet, and use that to also develop some quizzes for myself. And then don't forget to use your test assessment. That comes with your study guidebook. You want to be able to go in there and also draft your study plan so that you're able to go in and study those and not just your study guide, your textbook, your notes. Also add your assessment in your study plan. So guys, this is what I normally like to do. I love the idea of creating a study plan, and I just take my time at my quiet moments when the kids are in bed, set up the, my view, set up my office, make sure everything is nice and cozy, and just take my time to look at my textbook, look through my study guide, my notebook, and just understand what I need to do to accomplish my goal. So if you're going to do this, this is a way that you can go about studying. For those of you who have been asking me what method I use, this is what I use. I hope you found this video to be helpful, useful, and I'll see you on the next one.